This is going to be a video about how to make a paperback manuscript from a finished ebook manuscript. Now, I'm going to be working in Microsoft Word. So if you already know how to take Microsoft Word instructions and reinterpret them into Google Docs, then I'm sure you will be able to learn how to use Google Docs to achieve the same ends. So the first step that we're going to do is when you bring your ebook in, you want to immediately save it as the paperback manuscript. And the reason that is because any changes that you make, even hitting the wrong key, will mar your final manuscript. And Microsoft Word does have an auto memory. So even if you don't hit Control S to save, it could be saving over your work anyway. So the first thing you want to do is immediately save it as the paperback. So first, let's have a quick overview, a bird's eye view of what we will be doing. We're going to be adding or changing the following things: the margins, the page breaks, and the section breaks. The table of contents will go from only hyperlinks to page numbers, and we'll also be altering some pictures. And lastly, I will end up with setting up the sections for the book title, the page numbering, and the running of the actual table of contents. So let's begin. So let's begin with the margins. You're going to come up here to the Layout tab and click on it, and then click on Margins and choose Custom Margins. And these are the margins that I use normally for my ebooks, but we're going to change them to 0.75 inch, 0.75 inch. I'm going to leave it at 13, 0.75 inch. No, the one on the bottom is 0.5, excuse me. This one is 0.75 inch. And the gutter will be on the left. It's portrait. And the multiple pages, we want the pages to mirror because we're going to have a spine. So you want them to mirror, and we're going to choose whole document. The second tab is the paper tab, and here is where we're going to change the size. So my size is 5.61, I believe, by 7.81. No, I think it's 5.6 by 7.81. Okay, this default is fine. This is also going to be for the whole document. And now we're going to click on the Layout tab. And under Section Start, we're going to choose Odd Page. And I'll explain that later on when we get to that part. Now, you can either choose either of these. I just leave it on different first page in case I want to erase a page number. That keeps it about as simple as you can go. The vertical alignment you want to be top, and you also want this to be applied to the whole document. And then you click OK. And this is going to realign your book into the size of a paperback. Okay, so this video is targeting people who are creating a paperback from an ebook. But for anyone who is new and you don't have a finished ebook, I will give you a quick lecture on using the style gallery. There is a new message on the KDP dashboard indicating that after March 18th, 2025, they will no longer allow uploads of manuscripts other than those created in Kindle Create and or a finished ePub. So you should use the style gallery for all styles, and then you can write in Microsoft Word and convert the document yourself into an ePub. You can try your hand with Kindle Create, but I was never able to work in that environment. I'm sure they have ironed out a lot of the kinks by now, but I've already taught myself how to create an ePub, and knowing how to do it myself gives me the most control. You can create an entire novel using about 10 to 12 styles. And once you go through creating all the styles in a document, Just save it as a template to use over and over again. So the next thing you want to check is to make sure that you have all of the pages that you need in the document. Now, for an ebook, I don't normally use the 2 title pages. Usually in a paperback or a hardcover, they have a title page with just the title. Then the next page can be other books by the author. Then the next page is another title page with the author's name, but I do want that to be in my paperback and my hardcover, so I make sure that I have a page for that. The next page is a copyright page, and the next page I leave for the table of contents. Now, these are all links in the ebook, so I will be redoing this at the end of this video. So then I also am going to be adding a map. So I just wanted to show you, I have the second page of the map here, but I just wanted to show you how to bring in a picture and a few of the things that you might need to know. So I'm going to also come over here to the home panel and click on this little show hide button so that I can see all of the spaces and carriage returns. I'm dating myself with the carriage return, but every time you click the enter button, you're creating, a space, and it creates this symbol. So you want to get rid of all of those that you don't need. So let's pull in the map here. Okay, so it looks a little bit big because I want to have at least one space at the bottom of this picture. So I'm going to go, because I want it to be the same size as this other picture, I'm going to click on the second picture and look over here. And the size of it is 515 by 3.97. Now, that's also a little bit big, so I'm going to change them both. So I'm going to click on the first one and then just drag it in a little bit. Now, you can also do formatting where you have no bleed for your maps, but this is not that kind of a map, and I tried that once and I didn't like the way it looked, so I just have it as, side by side as a little map. Okay, so now I'm going to write down the size that I have chosen for the map. Let me make sure that I have one extra space here. Okay, I'll give myself 2. And then the same thing here. And what I'm looking for here is I'm seeing that this starts on the first line because this is also going to be a heading 1. So I'm going to highlight this map of the neighborhood and click on heading 1, and that's going to create the heading number 1. Number 2, it's going to be on the table of contents. Okay, and then for the first page, I'm going to come over here and click on picture format, and it still looks a little bit tight to me. So maybe I'll just change this to 3.80. And it'll automatically change the top one. Okay, so I better write that down here. So that's my picture width. Okay, and then I'm going to click on this and choose the top and bottom so that nothing tries to wrap with this picture. I want it separately by itself. And then the other thing is I'm coming up here to where it says Align Objects and choosing Align Center. And that's going to move it to the center of the page. And then I'm going to come down here to the second page. This I'm going to erase. But I want to put an extra space because these maps are going to be seen side by side, one on an even page and one on an odd page. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on this and click on the picture format and then change this to 3.80. All right. And then click on the, maybe I have to choose the wrap first. This one is top and bottom. Okay. And then align center. And that has aligned that to the center. Okay, so I have two spaces here to make up for the H1 and then one more space. Actually, when we look at this at the end of the video in a PDF format, I will be able to see at that time whether they are aligning top and bottoms. But anyway, this is where I am for now. Okay, now here's an example of what you need to look out for. There's too many spaces after this picture, and it has created a page break on the next page, and that's no good. So we have to get rid of all of these spaces. Bring them up. Okay, so I have 3 down. That's fine. Page break. Okay, so now I'm going to add in the section breaks. And the section breaks and the page breaks are going to control, ultimately, where you begin your book title in the header and where you begin your page numbering and on which page. So if you're new, here's another newbie tip. Write down how you want the pages to go. Now, let me explain very quickly about odd pages and even pages. If you are holding a paperback, the chapter pages usually start on a page on the right-hand side, and they are odd numbered pages. If you want something to appear on the back of the featured page, that will fall on an even numbered page. So as I go down this list, my first title page, I want to appear on the right-hand side, so that's going to be an odd page. But my other books by R. Shannon, I want that to be on the back of that page, not a feature page. It's just a filler page, actually. And that's going to be an even page. Then the next title page, the one with the author name, I want that also on an odd page. But I don't want any numbers or any titles on these 3 pages. So you need to indicate where you want your book title and Roman numeral page numbering to start. Mine will start on the copyright page, and that's also going to be on the flip side of the second title page. So it's an even page. Then I go into a table of contents, which in my paperback is going to flow over to a second page. So it's going to start on an odd page, but it's going to wind up on taking up an even page as well. Then, because I want the neighborhood map to begin on an even page, because I want it to be read side by side, the first neighborhood map page has to be on an even page, and then the second page of the map needs to be on an odd page. So this 7th page is going to skip a page, but you might not see the skipping of the page until later on when we look at the book. So just know that now we are setting up Microsoft Word to begin skipping between odd and even pages. Okay, and then after my map, I want my chapter 1, of course, to begin on the right-hand side. So that will be on an odd page. And so the 10th page is going to also be skipped by Microsoft Word. This can be where people get very frustrated because you need to understand odd and even pages and how to use the right page breaks to have a successful setup. So now that I have explained this to you, let's go back to the document and I will show you how to do it. Okay, so it might be easier for either everyone or at least the newbies to make sure that you just have generic page breaks. A generic page break is where you have your cursor on the page and you hit Control Enter. And it just throws up this generic page break. Okay. And then this way you won't have anything competing with what we're about to do. So now I'm going to add I want the first title to come down and sit in the middle of the page. Now, there's a very complicated way to set this up as its own section and then choose a vertical alignment in the center and blah, 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 blah. But what I have found is that it's easier to just put the space in the style gallery. So I'm going to choose this one here and click on books. Let me make sure I have this set up. Book title. Let's see. I'm going to come down here and look at paragraph. Okay, I don't have it set up. So what I want is, I believe it is 150 in a paperback. Let's see if I'm right. 150 points, single, no indent, centered, and then I'm going to even shut off this window often thing. Okay, and automatically update. Okay, so let's see. Actually, I think it might be, let me see if this is the center. It could be a little bit more down, so let's go back. Right now, we're experiencing the automatic saving that happens when you're working inside Microsoft Word. That's why it hesitates with the hourglass. Okay, so let's go back up here and we'll add a little bit more space. Let's see here, paragraph. So let's do 170. Let's do 170 and see. Okay, I think that's better. That puts it right in the middle. Okay, now this is going to be an odd page, and I want it to flip over to an even page. So I'm going to add a different type of break. So I'm going to come up to the layout, break, and choose an even break here. Okay, now it threw my other break here, so I have to get rid of that. Okay, then it says even page. So this one at the bottom, I want this to go to an odd page. So I'm going to click on this and choose odd page. All right, and then it's going to throw my generic page break to another page, which I don't want it to be on. Now this one is also, this one was probably changed when I did the book title. So let's see. Yeah, because all the space is here. So that one's already set up. Okay, so I want this to go to another even page. So let me get rid of, I'm always too paranoid to get rid of it before I put the new one in. So let's do this break, and we want an even page. All right, and then I'm going to get rid of this guy. And this is the copyright. And now I want it to go to a odd page. So click odd page. And my table of contents, which I'm going to redo later on. But this one here, this is where we're going to have our first skip, I believe, because I want the map, which is next, to be on an even page. So let's click on break, even. Okay. And then I'm going to click out of that. All right. And this looks about right. Okay, so now that we have all of our even and odd pages, let me just check them to make sure even, it's going to go to an even, going to go to an odd, it's going to go over to an even page, but then we want it to also start the next page on an even page. The next one is going to be an odd page. We want this one to start the first chapter on an odd page too. Okay, so they're all set up to go. So now the second question is, where do I want the book title to begin in the book? And also, where do I want the Roman numerals? And where do I want the card cardinal numbers. So these first 3 pages, I don't want any title or any page number. I want the title and the Roman numerals to begin on the copyright page. So let's click in the copyright page here. When you see this yellow hourglass come up, this means that it's doing that automatic save in Microsoft Word. Okay, so I'm going to double click to enter the heading. Now, occasionally, and it'll probably happen while we're working here, this link to previous automatically puts itself on, and you have to be very careful of it because it can ruin all of the work you just did. So I've always got my eye on it. So right now it's off. Okay, so now that I'm in the header and this is off, I'm going to click on Control E to center and put in the name of the book. Okay, and then I'm going to check the next page. It's on there, but it's not on the even page, not on this page. So I'm going to click here and Control E and put it there. Now, sometimes it'll put it on all the pages. It is a little bit finicky sometimes, Microsoft Word, so you do have to watch it carefully. All right, so I want the book title seems to be carrying through the rest of the book. Okay, that's good. So we got that finished, that we have that set up. So now let's start with the page numbers. So I'm going to click out of the header section. Now, I want my Roman numerals to begin on the copyright page. So let's click down here in an open space. And the first thing you need to do is tell Microsoft Word you want to add, you want to insert the page number. So you click on Insert and come over here and click on Page Number, and then you have to tell it where you want it. Bottom of the page, and the second choice is Center. Okay. Now, it didn't seem to default into this link to previous. So far our luck is holding out. Now, it's starting at number 2. And why would that be? Because this is an odd page. And so it has to have an odd number. That's why. So having page 2 is fine. So it's backing up again. All right, so now I come down here and it's carrying forward. Okay. And for some reason, it's not carrying further, but that's okay. I'm going to click in here and I'm going to insert page number, bottom of the page, center, and then I'm still watching this link to previous to make sure it doesn't turn itself on. Okay, so it's 3, 4. Okay, so I have to put one here. Insert page number, bottom of the page, in the center. Okay, so that is, now this is 4, and then it flips over to 6, because in order to put this first page of the map, it has to skip the odd numbered page, which is fine. That's what we want it to do. And so this is carrying on. It's the same section, so that's 7. So now we come down here, and it's still going forward. So we're going to tell it here. It's already putting the page number, so all we need to do is the formatting. So I'm going to come over and click on page number, format page number. I want this to be the cardinal numbers now, and I don't want it to continue from the previous section. I want it to start at 1. And now before I click OK, look what happened. Link to previous. Do you see how devious this is? So I'm going to cancel this, unclick this, and do it again. Format page numbers. This is going to be 1, 2, 3, start at 1. Click OK. And then that's 1. And let's do this one. Oh, see? It turned itself on again. You got to unclick it. Oh, actually, I think I want it to be previous, but I don't trust it. So let's go over here. Actually, I have to insert page number, bottom, center, 2. Okay. And let's see if it's carrying on. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So far, everything is looking good. So we've got all that set up. So let's click out and let's go to the top and make sure it has held with our instructions. Yes, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and then on to number 1, number 2. Okay, so there's one other thing that we need to do before we move on to the chapter headers, and that is we have to go through the document, and you're going to have to put in let me see, the next one. Right here, you're going to go to the last line here, and you're going to choose Layout, Break, Odd Page. Okay, and then take out these spaces before your chapter. Okay. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep putting the chapters on a new page. But now, because you have created a new section, it's starting the page number again, but we don't want that. So I'm going to click in the page number and click over here to page number format. And we're going to click on continue from the previous. And it's already chosen the cardinal number, so I'm going to click OK. Whoops. There you go. And so again, so this ends on page 5. It's going to skip 6 because that's an even page and put the next chapter on chapter 7. Now, as you proceed along, eventually you're going to maybe make 2 or 3 manual changes, but eventually it will understand that you want the book to just keep going on and on. So let's see. All right, so let's click out of this. I don't want to skip over that's 2. Okay, so we want to get rid of this and choose to add a section break to an odd page. Okay, now I like to bring these down if I have the space so I can see it. All right, and then take out this line here. All right, now it's keeping up the numbering. See, so it sort of figured out that you want it to continue now. So let's get rid of this and add a odd page break. All right, now here is a perfect example of what you need to watch for. This here is the odd page break, but then this page break falls on an empty page. So if this should ever happen, what you're going to do is come up here to the last punctuation mark and pull this up. Just hit delete and it pulls it right up to your last line. And then it will bring everything else up behind it like that. Okay, so let's see, 29. All right, so it's now, doing what it needs to do. So I'm going to put this on pause and I'm going to fix up all of my chapters with my odd page breaks, and then I will be back. Okay, so now I'm about to get into adding a chapter header graphic. But before I do that, for anyone who is new to formatting and you just want to go with a simple chapter header like I have here, I'm just going to show you how to add some space without having to do this, because this causes problems even in PDF files. So we're going to click on chapter 1, go up to the style gallery, and right-click on the heading 1 style and choose Modify. Now, for right now, I want to add the space you can either add space to the top of the page and below the page, or you can style it however you want, but this is how it's done. You're going to click on Format and click then on Paragraph. And then you're going to choose, right now I have chosen to put 10 points before it and 12 points after it. But let's say you want more space after the title, which is very common. So let's put 32 points. Single, no indent, and it's centered. Okay. And then automatically, I'm not going to automatically update this so I don't have to undo everything. I'll just do this one and click OK. And as you can see, it will drop all of the space. Now, if I did click automatically update, it would change all of the chapter headers in the whole book. So that's how you do a simple chapter header. So now let me undo that. Heading 1. Whoops. I have to right-click, Modify, Format, Paragraph. And right now, I'm going to take out all of these spaces before and after for my chapter graphic. So 0 points and 0 points. Single, no indent, and it's centered. Okay. And now, oh, I didn't choose automatically update. Let me try it again. 0 points, okay. Automatically update. Okay, there you go. And it took out all of the spaces. All right. So now I'm going to begin to put in my chapter header. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is come back here to right before chapter 1 and click on the enter. I'm just giving myself a little space to work here. I don't want my formatting to have this heading 1 center. So let me go over here and just click on normal. Here it is, normal. Okay. And this one too, normal. All right, so now I'm going to insert a table, and I just want 2 rows. Okay. Now in the first row, let's see. First, let me add my picture. Okay, so I'm in the first row, and I'm going to click on Insert Picture. This device. Here's my chapter header. Okay, and I'm going to pull this to stretch it a bit. Okay. Okay, so now that I have pulled in the picture, now I want to go to the table. First of all, I want to click on the table. And over here is the table indicator. Okay, when you click inside the table, you're in a different place. So you want to click over here and capture the whole table. And then come up here to Table Design. And under Borders, you're going to choose No Borders. You don't want any borders to show in your chapter header. And then the table layout, you're going to choose over here, Align Bottom Center. Okay, and that's going to align the picture into the center. All right, so that's set up. Now I'm going to click inside the second row. And now, since I have already just aligned to the center of the table, it's going to put my chapter header inside in the middle. So let me do this. Chapter 1. Okay, and what I'm going to do is highlight chapter 1 and come over here to the Home tab and click on heading 1. Okay, and what that is doing is it is putting it in the second row. Now, I also want there to be space between the chapter 1 and the first line of the text. So I'm going to add that into my header, into my heading 1 style. So I'm going to right click, modify, and then bring up the paragraph spacing. And then after, I'm going to click on, say, 32 points and check that it's single spaced, no indent, and it is centered. Okay. And then automatically update. Yes. Okay. And as you can see, this has now highlighted this extra space is going to be inside the heading 1 style, and it's also going to occur inside the table, which is fine. All right. And then what I do is I just go and I erase this, and everything is now lined up. Now, the next thing is I lean on this table highlight over here, the table indicator. So I have the whole thing highlighted, which has all of the styles now in it. And I click Control Copy, and I go back to my chapter 2. Now I'm going to normal, whoops, normal. Now, I have some memory issues, so I have to leave this chapter 2 so I know where I am at all times. But if you can remember you're on chapter 2, you can just erase the chapter and you don't need to do all of this configuration with the spaces. Okay, you can just ignore that. So that's chapter 2. So then you're going to go through, I'm going to go through the rest of the whole document and just copy and paste these headers into the book. And then when I'm done with that, I'll come back and we'll pick it up from there. Okay, I just discovered something that makes it a little bit easier. So for those of you that don't have any memory issues or aren't easily frazzled like I am, and you can just remember you're on chapter 6, you can just delete this and just add the chapter header. But for anybody who wants to make sure you're putting in the right chapter number, you just click on this and then come up here and click on normal. And then just give yourself some space, copy in the chapter header table, and then add this. And then it's a quick just delete. Okay, so let me continue on and I'll be back. Okay, so now I've got to the end of the book, and I just want to mention one thing in case I forgot to say this in the previous section. When you get to the end of the book, you no longer have to worry about odd and even pages because the note to the reader, the acknowledgments about the author, to me, it doesn't matter if they're on the even side or the odd side. I just want them to come one after the other. So I return to just a regular page break. Okay, so getting back to the chapter headers, now that I've come to these other pages that don't have chapters, it's just a matter of doing the same thing, turning it into a normal, giving myself a space, clicking Control V to copy it in. And then instead of having the chapter, I just put in note to reader. Okay, and then come down here and just erase it. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, so I finished all of my chapter headers, and then on the way back up, scrolling up the document, I checked, counting backwards, that I had all of my numbering correct. I did have 2 mistakes, so I fixed those. So now, before I run the new table of contents, I want to do one thing first, and that is I want to save this, which I've just done, but I also want to save it as a PDF, because in the PDF, any other spacing issues will show up. So let me do that now. And I want to also show you about embedding the fonts. So click on File, and then come down here to Okay, what's going on is that my options, oh, here it is, the options here. I want to click on options and then click on save. And down here in the embed font section, according to the directions on the KDP website, it says to check the first box and leave the next two unchecked. Now, I do this all the time, and it still gives me an error reading. It tells me the fonts are not correctly embedded, but we'll do it for you. But anyway, I've never had a problem, so I just make sure that only the top one is connected here. And then, what other one? The advanced button here. And you want to come down, and here we go. Do not compress images in the file, which means that you don't want them altering your photos. You want them to print them as is. And the PPI is 220, which is quite large, which will work. Okay, so with those two boxes checked, now I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to save this as a PDF, and then save. Okay, so here it is. So what I'm looking at specifically is just to make sure that it's skipping the right pages. Okay, so this is 4, 5 is skipped, which is good because I want the map to be on the left-hand side, which is an even page. So that is 6, and then 7. And then it's skipping 8, which is an even page, and beginning the chapters on page 1. Okay, so we have that set. So let's go back to the Word document. So now it's time to run the table of contents. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on this and get rid of it. But make sure that I have a space here so that I can work. I'm going to give myself 2 spaces and then run it here. Okay, so now I'm going to go up to the References tab and click on Table of Contents and the Custom Table of Contents. Now over here I'm going to uncheck the hyperlinks because we don't need that in a paperback or a hardcover. Now over here I'm only using heading 1 for my chapters. If you have like a subheading and you're using heading 2 as well, then you will reduce this to 2, but I'm going to reduce this down to 1, which means it's only going to concern itself with heading 1s for the table of contents, which is what I want. Now I also want a tab leader, so I'm going to click on this and choose the first one. I want it to show page numbers, and I want it to right align the page numbers. Now, coming over here, I'm going to click on Modify because there's one other change that I need to make. Because some of the settings that I always use are already set up in my table of contents. So if you want to change the font, this is the dialog box that you would change it on. But I'm going to move forward. I'm going to click Modify, and this dialog box will come up, and I'm going to click on Format, and I'm going to check my paragraph just in case you need to do this. Make sure you don't have any indentation. It's probably a good idea to put it on single so that you can use as little space as you can. And then I only have 2 points after each line so that I can get as much on one page as I can. Okay, so you might want to make some of those changes. Then click OK. Now I'm going to click back onto Format and bring up the tabs. Okay, so I have this on 3 inches. Now I'm going to start again. I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to pretend that there was some other number there because you will default to probably something else. So what you're going to want to do here is, let's try 3. Well, we'll do 3 inches. Okay, so 3 inches here. And then come down. I want it to align left, and I do want a leader, so I'm going to choose this one here. Now, since I cleared everything, I have to now hit set. And that takes the 3 inches and drops it down into this box. Okay, so now I'm going to click OK, OK, and this is all set, so I'm going to click OK here. Now, here's a word of caution, because just like in the last section, Microsoft Word occasionally starts doing stuff on its own. So occasionally when I come back to this dialog box, it'll have this one checked again. Or vice versa if I'm running a ebook table of contents. So check this final dialog box before you click the last OK button. All right, so it looks like it's going to do what it's being told. So let me click on OK. And there is my table of contents. Okay. Now, it looks like it's filling up the page, but it looks like it could be a little bit wider so that it fills up a little bit more of the page. So let's go back and change the tab. So I'm going to just get rid of this and go back here and do the same thing. Table of contents, custom table of contents. Click off of this tab leader, heading 1. Let me go to the modify. Let's do the tabs. And then instead of, let's clear this, and we'll put in 3.25 inches. Okay, left, and I want the leader, so I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to click set. Okay, okay, okay. Then you got to do a final check on Microsoft Word, make sure it hasn't done anything on its own, and then click the last OK. And yes, so this one looks a little bit better because it fills up more of the page. And as we determined already, it was going to be 2 pages for the table of contents. It picked up the 3, 4. This is an even page, but it's going to another even page because of the map. Now, in order for me to have the map be exactly in the same place, I'm going to come up here, and because this has a heading 1, I'm going to come over here and click on heading 1. Okay, and what it does is it pushes it down just a bit. So now these two are perfectly aligned, you see, because they each have 1 space here, which I'm going to leave. Okay, and this one is going to an odd page. And this one is also going to an odd page because the next one is chapter 1, which picks up again with the cardinal numbers. So we have completed the document. It's all set up now. So the last thing you want to do is save this, Control S to save it. And then it's important for you to save it as a PDF and then look at it as a PDF to see if there are any extra pages or whether you forgot to delete an extra page break inside of your document. It's important to just check every page as the PDF because you will be uploading the PDF. And the PDF is like sending a photograph of the book to the printer. Okay, so that ends the video. And I am just going to ask you if you learned anything, if you could give me a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. And if you could subscribe to my channel, that would help even more. So anyway, my next video that I'm planning right now is going to be how to turn an ebook cover that you can get pretty affordably on Fiverr or create one yourself and turn that into a full paperback book cover. So I'll see you in the next video.